Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, another Necron learning curve, and once again we're looking at more cryptics, and in this video we're looking at the Harbringer of Eternity. Just a quick chat about this model. I got this kit bashed cryptic from Messy Painting. Alex at Messy Painting made this up for me, and what an awesome conversion he's done, so thank you, Alex. I should put a link to Messy Painting in the description below. Tom and Alex over on their channel doing some fantastic work, well worth checking out, so go and check them, give them a sub. Okay, so let's have a look. Right, the reason why I chose this mini to be my Harbinger of Eternity is because of that massive staff. And basically when you take him as a Harbinger of Eternity, he gets the Eon staff, which is a pretty cool staff. It's one of those things which, if it comes off, it's nice, but you certainly won't be relying on it. It's just one of those things that if it happens, it's really good. So what it does is, if your enemy takes a wound from this staff in close combat, then the enemy will lose the fleet special rule if they have it. But more importantly, the enemy gets reduced to weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative and attacks of 1 for the rest of the game. Now that is pretty awesome, but you still have to remember that you've only got 1 attack on this guy, maybe 2 if you're charging in. So it's unlikely that it's going to do anything, and it certainly isn't the reason why I would take this particular cryptic. But it's just a nice thing to have, and to bear in mind that, you know, occasionally if it pulls off against your enemy, could be a really good piece of staff, basically. But the reason you're going to be taking this guy is not for the staff, it's for the chronometron. So the chronometron is fairly cheap, I suppose, for what it does, but basically it lets him or the unit that he's joined with re-roll 1 fouled d6 per phase. Now how awesome is that? So basically 1 dice you can re-roll each phase. Now that's very useful if you have a particular thing that you basically do not want to foul. And the key thing for me really is if you're using Stormlord. Keep that night fight going, basically. So when you roll, if it fouls, you can just re-roll it. Keep that night fight up as long as you can. Now I would actually love to get this guy in with my Flayed One army, but I'm really struggling with points to actually make room to get him into the army. But one day I will have him in the army, because I am struggling with my Stormlord. Every time I'm rolling a 1, turn 1, and the storm just stops. But if I had this guy in there, I can just re-roll that dice. And obviously it's quite useful for re-rolling a failed save or an important shot that you've got. Really great piece of war gear to have. And like I said, it's one of those things you wouldn't just take the cryptic just for the sake of it. But if you had a specific reason, a specific piece of war gear, a specific gun that you do not want to miss with, is very useful. You can take the Time Splinter Cloak for this guy and give him a 3+ invulnerable save. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But it's quite expensive. It's twice the amount of points as the chronometron itself. And a 3++, okay, it's very good. You're still got to die on a 1 or a 2 regardless of what weapon you have coming your way. So a 1 wounded model, again, sinking too many points into him I wouldn't necessarily recommend. Personally, I don't take it. I'm not saying it's a bad piece of war gear, but just have to remember, you know, that piece of war gear you can potentially buy, well, you can almost buy 3 warriors with that piece of war gear. So yeah, you've got to weigh that up. But overall, a great cryptic, very useful. Not necessarily an essential cryptic, but if you've got a specific use, then it's well worth considering. As I said, especially if you're using that with Imitate the Stormlord. Okay, so next up we're going to have a look at the Harbinger of the Storm, which at this moment in time, with the current codex and the current meta of the game, is definitely my favourite cryptic. So we'll have a look at him next. More to come.